In the early 90s, I had the chance to go to Japan and see the technology that we're talking about used in clinical applications in hospital settings. And I saw some things that made me stand back and really evaluate some of the things I'd been taught about medicine and health. And I saw water doing things there that blew my mind. And as a result of that trip and seeing some of those miracles with people who had things like eczema and psoriasis and diabetes and neuropathy, I came back with a strong desire to get one of these machines and have the water available to use in my clinic and to share with my patients and friends and family and myself. And so I came back and I bought a water ionizer, and I have to be honest, I was very disappointed in the results. I gave a lot of water away and people just didn't notice any difference, and I really couldn't say that I did either. Treating some of the people with those terrible skin conditions, even acne, it didn't seem like the water was making any difference. So I knew that at that point that ionizers were not all created equally. So that began a search for me and a journey of looking for and finding the best ionizer out there that would accomplish what I wanted it to accomplish to help the most people with the most health challenges. So as a result of that journey, I have gone from one machine to another. I've actually, over the last several years, purchased I've purchased 7 water ionizers from different manufacturers. And I will say some work a little bit better than others, but none really, truly did for my patients and myself what I expected. So I was a little bit disheartened actually, and I thought, well, they just must have something really special in these machines that are made for the hospitals and the clinics and on a big scale, and we just can't get those in a consumer-sized version here in the United States. But in July of 2006, I was invited to a meeting that was a celebration actually that was being done by a company called Enagic, and went to Los Angeles, California, met the president of the company there, Mr. Oshiro, and although I wasn't able to understand everything that was being said in Japanese because the meeting was in Japanese, I tried the water and I knew there was something special about that water. I could taste it, I could see the difference, I could feel the difference in my body. And after drinking the water, I slept more sound than I had in a long time. I have to be honest with you, I've never had a lot of health conditions and or challenges, but I slept better and I woke up with less sleep, feeling fully rested and energized, and I had even more energy than normal. And that got me excited. So I bought a machine that following day and got one in my clinic and started giving water away. And I have to tell you, it's just been an absolute miracle what I've seen since. Patients are coming in and getting water. They're bringing their friends in, they're bringing in their family, and they're taking water home and drinking it, and they're coming back and saying, I got to have some more magic water. And when you ask them what they're noticing, everything from I see I'm using less insulin if they're diabetic, I'm having less pain, I have better sleep, I'm not as depressed, I'm not as anxious. The things they're telling me is absolutely phenomenal. And I've come to realize just how important this foundational part of our body really is. You know, we are 75% water, and we overlook it, we take it for granted. And as I see the changes occurring in patients, what I'm coming to realize more and more every day is that the water is the key. All the other things are secondary. The water is in nature the greatest solvent. You know, it often amazes me that we go out and buy new cars and we change the oil exactly as the manufacturer recommends. We are very careful to maintain our cars in every way. And yet, many people trade their cars off every 2 or 3 years. Sometimes people keep them a little longer than that. but we always end up with the same body that we started with. And although that body, which I like to think of as a billion-dollar machine that God gave to us, it is an amazing machine, and it does maintain itself fairly well even with all the abuse we give it. It still amazes me how sometimes we do abuse it, how we sometimes think that we can dump any kind of fuel in it and it'll still run. We can abuse it with not enough sleep. We can abuse it with some of the physical things that we do to ourselves. And we just keep on doing it and doing it and doing it. And then we wonder sometimes why we wake up one morning and we're sick. And I know most of you take a lot better care of your car than you ever have your body. Some of you, on the other hand, are taking better care of your body, and I commend you for that. But I think it is a big problem. And I think it's something that we really need to think about. Putting this wonderful water in your body absolutely is one of the best preventive maintenance things that I personally know of. And I recommend it to everybody that I talk to. You see, as we change our water, we literally do change the foundation of who we are, of our health, of our wellness. And you know, people often ask me, well, Doc, I've been out on the internet and I've found this article that says these things don't work. I found an article that says I can buy a machine for half the money or a third the money. And that's true. And I realize that there are people that can say anything they want to on the internet. I don't have a problem with that. But I do want you to understand something. It's been my experience after having purchased and tested many different manufacturers' machines that the results will vary dramatically according to the machine. Sometimes I think of it this way, you know, if you wanted something for transportation, you could buy a horse, you could buy a bicycle, you could buy a moped, you could buy a car, maybe a small car, and you could buy a Mercedes or a Lexus, or you could buy a Rolls-Royce. Each one of those are forms of transportation, but you will find that riding a horse or a bicycle or a moped, for example, in a rainstorm isn't very nice. And it's very slow, and it takes you a lot longer to get where you want to go. If your goal is to improve your health, it seems to me that most of us would choose to do the very best we can to make the most difference every day that we're existing. We want to have better energy, we want to have better health, and we want to perform at our optimum capabilities. That to me is the magic of being healthy and well. So when you go out on the internet and you find people that are making claims and what's the good word, debunking or bashing the technology, and there's people that say it don't work. Let me just tell you this, my experience has been that it is amazing technology and it really does work. And I can back that up with Japanese doctors who have been using this technology for 35 years. There are many associations of doctors who understand this. Just because we don't, and we fear change, and we're resistant to change in many cases, doesn't mean that it doesn't work. There was a guy by the name of Columbus years ago when everybody in the world thought the world was flat. And he took off in some friends of his in a boat, and he sailed, and he didn't drop off the edge of the world. Now, today, we laugh at that and we say, how could they possibly have thought that the world was flat? And yet, at that time, everybody was of the opinion that the world was flat. We're kind of at that place in our history right now. If we really dig down and look around, we see that most people are sick. Most people's health is not where it ought to be. And yet somehow we keep doing the same things day after day after day, thinking that we're going to get healthier. It doesn't work that way. In fact, somebody told me that was the definition of insanity. So I would urge you to take the time to investigate this, to literally drink the water. Just drink the water and see if what we're telling you will make a difference for you. And I believe that you, like all of the patients that I've worked with and all my friends and all my family members who are trying this water, will also feel the difference. And if you want to try other waters from other machines, do it. Give them an opportunity to show you how they work, because I think you'll find that they're not all created equally, and that the results will be dramatically different from the waters from some machines versus those of other machines.